I learned a lot from your channel so far. I'm a newbie leftist, relatively new, in terms of foreign policy, and learned a lot from Michael Brooks in terms of South America, whatnot, Lula, Bolivia, Venezuela. So that's where my like base level is. But then when I watch like CNN, like I said before, like you see Russia, like I don't know what the non-mainstream, what we should be doing in terms of this quote unquote Cold War, like you said, that may happen with Russia and China.
Yeah, I think it really I think that we need to I think we as the left need to get better at not answering every question that comes at us, but trying to flip it back onto people to ask them questions.
No, I mean just not in terms of like I'm not arguing with other people. I mean just like what is our strategy in terms of
Oh.
a not a universal, but an international leftist. How do we deal with? I don't know if these countries are quote unquote threats or quote unquote just doing their own thing, and we should just like trade or like war, like the whole
Yeah.
Ukraine thing and like all that.
Well, I don't. I've never really recently thought that Russia is much of a threat. I don't understand them being any type of a threat aside from their usual trying to destabilize democracy and trying to like make everything a laugh show. And the biggest winners, there was a meme on the internet. The biggest winners of the first debate were Russia. Joe Biden didn't win the debate. The American people did not win the debate. Donald Trump did not win the debate. Russia won the debate because they could look over at these foolish Americans who can't even have like a presidential conversation. So I've never much thought that Russia is
So
too.
Russia,
Go ahead.
so Russia wants us to be less strong, just generally speaking, because we're the superpower.
Yeah, they all that I think that they tried to do is potentially destabilize us around the edges. Try to make fun of our democracy. Try to show that it doesn't work. Try to show that these Americans talk about their freedoms all the time, but they don't really have them. So I think that they're more of just like if anything, I think that they try to destabilize much more than China does. I don't see direct actions that China does against the United States to imperil the United States, partly because
No,
we're
but
still so interdependent on one another.
right, but let's some things people will bring up is like if the United States were to become a less imperial nation, another nation like Russia would just take our place. So like if we like just like shut it up, if we shut down all the 800 bases, came home, another that would create like a power vacuum or what have you. That's something that people say. I'm not saying I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just
So I want to withdraw from a lot of the bases that we have, and I'd like to empower an organization like the United Nations, or I'd like to give
mhm,
more power to a group like NATO, where there could potentially be like an actual like international peacekeeping force. So maybe we could
right.
maybe we could give the bases either to the nations that we extracted from, or we could give the nations to like a democratic body that they kind of like maintained like peacekeeping, because this is a really good question, and it's one of those where hmm in that conversation that the two gentlemen were having, they said that some talks need to be held kind of like in private. And you've heard me say once or twice that like sometimes leftists or socialists or communists should go talk in Faraday cages rather than talk about things
Hmm.
things out in public. But the reason that I bring this up is because I maybe it's still my liberal thinking, but I do think that there. Okay, let's just take Afghanistan for example. I don't know how to actually withdraw our troops and leave a region that we've destabilized for 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 years to do anything that they need to do at the moment right now, because they don't have bridges, they don't have roads, they don't have hospitals, and that's because like we've bombed them or we've encouraged different sects to fight with one another.
This is what I was kind of like thinking, like not to cut you off, but just that reparations. I mean, United States reparations, like would I? I mean, I'm guessing it would bankrupt us because all the amount of damage that we have done in this world.
Well, I actually take the complete opposite approach. I think that the reparations are going to be the only thing that can save the dollar and save the United States.
I
I
know.
I actually don't have any kind of now the main everybody in the mainstream would say that if we paid out $30 trillion to the world, it's going to bankrupt the United States. But I don't see that at all. I completely take the opposite view that I think one of the only ways to save the United States' reputation and to save the dollar is by making the world more dependent on the dollar, by giving out trillions and trillions of it to all of the places that we've bombed.
Well, that's interesting because, um, as a leftist, I'm like, how do we fix this shit? Like, we just fucked up the whole world, basically. So I'm like, to pay reparations to Native Americans, to pay reparations to Black Americans, and to South America, the Middle East, like all the shit that we have done, and you think that's possible to do? I hope so. I mean, this is what I would like. This is my first time hearing this, and I don't know, continue to like try to build like social democracy, I guess, in the United States.
Fuck! I just got a cramp in my foot. Can you say that one more time?
Like like America has a lot to pay for. Like from Native
Yeah.
Americans to Black Americans to South America to the Middle East to like this, we've caused so much damage.
Right.
Vietnam, we just fucked up everything, and we have so much wealth, but that would have to, I'm guessing, decrease dramatically, or like you don't see it that way
Um.
to pay those reparations
Yeah.
and continue
I
our
mean, I don't really think that paying them out would. I don't think they would bankrupt the nation. I don't even think that
not
they would.
bankrupt, but just, I mean, like how would it affect the nation? How would it affect America, in your opinion?
I think that it would. I'm going to be one of the only people that's going to. Well, okay. There's going to be leftists that would agree to my position, but I think it's the only way to save the country. Like I don't. The
True.
only thing that we can export anymore is the dollar. We don't have manufacturing. We barely have technology. We have technology services. We don't even really have like that big of an automobile sector anymore. So I am completely fine using the power of the printing press to begin to undo some of the damage to just by issuing money out of the mint. Um, I now
So
now
like,
I don't think that we're anything near this happening ever. I don't even think that Bernie. I don't even think Bernie, who was the furthest left person that we've had run in my lifetime, would even dare bring up some things like this because he'd get
I mean,
suicided by a
let's say we
teacup.
could, push through, ultimately like class consciousness and solidarity amongst workers. We could push through that kind of,
Hmm.
yeah, this is what we're gonna do because we're gonna strike if you don't do it. Basically, like if we could push through this kind of like universal solidarity, we're gonna have solidarity with all the fucked up things that we have done, and we're putting our labor on the line
This is where I get a
as a
little bit concerned that sometimes the left in the United States focuses too much on the United States and not enough on the like international damage that's been done, and that's kind of why I shifted so I shifted my channel into covering international politics because of Michael Brooks as well. Um, but I am concerned that the conditions in the U.S. for the worker are so bad compared to the conditions for the bourgeoisie in the United States that we're mostly just going to try to fix our problems here and not even intentionally turn a blind eye to the international problems. But
so I mean,
go ahead.
yeah, I mean, in terms of like me, I'm a you know international leftist, quote unquote, where in my actually there was a great call on the Majority Report on how this guy he called in, people who watching that probably know, he called and he was like he spoke to his congressperson. He was calling her, he said about Israel Palestine, like he just kept calling and getting on Zoom calls like over the past 3 years, and he kind of forced his congressperson to take a good stand on boycott, like and pro boycott bills and anti BDS bills.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if we build that kind of solidarity amongst our working class, so when, let's say, Israel's doing some fucked up shit in Palestine, I don't know how this would work, but if we had some type of solidarity, we would withhold our labor in order to affect international issues. I'm not saying withhold our labor to like just fix our shit. I'm saying since we are like we could shut shit down basically, like UPS, Amazon, we could just shut everything down if we wanted to if we had that kind of.
Yeah.
So
No. I do completely agree with you here, and I think that this is where it sounds like people like yourself, potentially people like me, other communities can, Kamazat's Altar does a lot of talk about the global south. Silver does a lot of talk about imperialism and empire. Resistance Noir does a lot of talking about decolonization. So I think that you're 100% right where you're saying we need to build that international solidarity. And my slight little twist is going to be not only in our political class, but even in our leftist class at the moment. Because I don't want to underestimate or overestimate the amount that the United States left is concerned with international issues, but there do seem to be some gaping holes
you can
in.
underestimate it
Uh,
if we're talking about Bernie Sanders is the left. If you mean like the real left, yeah. But if you're talking like the Bernie Sanders movement, yes, it's not as strong.
yeah, and actually, I think that he had good conversations about Israel. I think that early in his lifetime he did pen a letter about disbanding the CIA. Um,
No, but the people who follow him, like the
oh,
people who are in
fair.
line and going to his rallies and shit, they weren't like
No,
you know deep into it. They were
no.
like, yes, Medicare for all.
Yeah. So somebody brought up that the American population really doesn't care for foreign policy at all. So politicians don't talk about it much, except China because of trade wars and Israel. And I agree with that. Like
I
we're
mean, they don't care because we don't organize around it. We're
yeah.
not doing the work yet.
Yeah,
That's our fault.
and it's so hard to yeah, I wish that I had the answer to this for you. Um I try to do what I can to bring awareness to international issues. Um
I say you do. I'm just saying, I if you allow me to, you speak. Say what you were gonna say.
no, go ahead.
Like, like for me, I see this as it's gonna be a process. I mean, it's just that's just the way it is. I mean, in terms of climate change, do we have the time? I don't know. Like, what can we do? We could just work. That's all we can do.
Mhm.
Whether it's going to your local city council meetings, just getting involved, like at all, and just get involved and don't play video games all day. Not to shit on the gamers, but but if you're like, we have to just get involved and try to build like organizations and build power that we can then leverage to affect the goals that we want.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And one area that I am a little bit weak in is not being involved locally enough. I don't
I mean, we're
mind.
all week there. I mean, I just attended my first city council meeting, so I'm
My
not like this fucking super leftist.
The excuse that I give myself is I sit in front of my computer and I do this stuff so much that I'm exhausted at times, that I don't do enough like local work. So I need to
Hmm.
eventually find a balance of being able to do this as like my job and make this sustainable, and then have enough energy to do other work. Because like so in the past, I streamed for like 205 hours I think in the past like 30 days. So that's like 50 hours a week. And then, like, of doing research off stream, I just get exhausted to go do, like, and I don't have a car. I don't have a
Yeah,
bicycle at the moment. I don't want to take public transportation. So, getting across the city to go to a Zoom meeting, or I guess even going to a Zoom, I can just fucking do better. And I'll
yeah,
keep
no,
working
but
on it.
here's the thing. The guy, I should just everybody. There was like a top five MR calls today. Everybody was like, "Oh shit, this guy's fucking base." Um, the way he was talking about how the silver lining of the COVID thing is easier access to his representatives because it's all
Yeah.
through Zoom. So, like the first city council shit was on Zoom. I just have to
Mm-hmm.
fucking log on and just you don't have to get involved. You just have to watch and see what they're doing
Mm-hmm.
first. Like you have to learn about what the fuck is going on first before you can even jump in and say this is what we should do and find the leverage points of. His main point was push his congressperson or councilperson just one step leftwards. Like you don't have to go crazy and for socialism. Like just a little step left and get your friends and shit to like come on. Like he had a whole program.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would get his, he would talk about like um, immigration issues, but and then he would bring his immigration friends on that same call to talk about their issues. And like you can imagine, that could be very powerful for a city council person to hear and keep applying that pressure.
Yeah, Philadelphia is actually on a good path as far as left activists. We have a few pretty far left council people. We had Kendra Brooks win in the Working Families Party. We just got some DSA members elected to state senate and state house. So
Yeah,
there are some decent things happening in Philadelphia,
yeah.
at least.
I think it's the people though. Mostly, I mean, I don't know how I could, talk to your neighbors and shit like that. But we're so like disengaged and alienating and shit. Like it's gonna we need people. You just need more people.
Yeah, I wrestle with this one very often because I don't know if you have, but I move a lot in my lifetime. You know,
I do
usually.
move a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that makes it difficult to develop that relationship in your community because you're renting for 11 months and then you're moving.
but you know what I found out that people had this is like a crazy like people will text me like months later like remember that conversation that I had with you that actually changed my perspective.
Nice.
Like so like this is what I say talk to your neighbors and talk to people around you about like random political Joe Biden or whatever the fuck. Just talk to people and give them a little nugget or two about your perspective and
Hmm.
they already trust you because you're right in front of them and you're a cool person. So it's not like turning everybody into a socialist day one. It's like
Yeah.
just do you care about anything other than yourself
Yeah.
or Joe Biden? If you care about Joe Biden, oh maybe you care about this policy or maybe or whatever. You just start from wherever that person's at,
Hmm.
and even if it's just fucking saying good morning to your neighbors to break the barrier of fucking whatever you know what I'm trying to say
Yeah. Yeah,
non community.
I've done decently meeting my community. They they were a little skeptical of me at first, not exactly knowing, what I was up to.
And
Um,
you don't have to be perfect or what have you, and not just you personally. It's just like everybody who's listening in chat or this is like a general uh, advice I would say.
mhm.
You don't have
So
to feel I'm not attacking you.
yeah, no, 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 no. But it's things that I need to hear, and it's things that I need to improve on, and it's things that chat needs to hear, and things that we need to improve on too. So they're good things
Even
to be
me,
considering.
even me. Yeah, even me. Like I'm not perfect. This is just ideas that I have. I don't talk to every neighbor. It's just we should all be having these type of conversations to make sure that we stay on it.
If I was able to have my perspective change after being radicalized for a decade on poll, nobody is too far gone. Interesting, Kodo. He said, sorry, I just have to read one other comment. He said he's not
Yeah,
really
yeah,
confident actually like debating you because he's not as versed in facts, but he is interested in talking. I don't really debate people anyway. I don't,
yeah.
I don't often debate people, I should say.
The
Uh,
debates aren't necessary.
what's
They're
up?
good for. The debates aren't necessary. They're good for the people who do them. I do like some kind of, I would debate, but it's more about local engagement. If you're online, if you're an extremely online person, yeah, of course, debate. But
I would probably have a conversation with any person that disagreed with me, regardless of like regardless if it was in like real life or like their social media following or their Twitch following, I would probably only debate people that had a larger platform than I. And
yeah, so they're platforming you.
that and also like I'm able to speak to their kind of like community. Like it's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'm very
They're
much of
putting
the
you on
type.
their platform.
Right, right. I'm very much the type that if you are debating somebody, you're not you're not gonna change the person's mind, especially on a live call when they're in front of like their audience and you're in front of yours. But what you can
Yeah.
do is you can make some people in their community be like, like that wasn't so out of the realm. I don't know. Did you see the conversation that I had with Redneck Invasion the other night?
No, I didn't.
I need to
Mm.
put this up on YouTube. It was a really really good one. Redneck Invasion really doesn't agree with like almost anything with me. But they they have come onto my show. They've rated me like a bunch of times, and yeah, it was a really good back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time when I think the right wingers like to. I used to be Uber driver, so I used to, like talk to a lot of different people, which is a great thing to do if you ever want to learn how to talk to different people.
I was a
And
restaurant worker for like 7 years.
yeah, so yeah, you just meet like a shit ton of people, and you meet right wingers, and basically like he's from Canada, and he was like, man, I don't want to fucking have to pay all these fucking taxes or whatever, and the United States is better. And all I literally said was like, man, at least people aren't dying kicking off healthcare in your country. And he was like, yeah, you're right, bro. like, like that's it. Like I didn't really like debate bro him. I was just kind of like,
Yeah,
I,
when the health one comes up, I like to ask people, a few questions. Have you ever been wanting to leave your job, but maybe you weren't leaving it because you were concerned about like what would happen with your healthcare? Or there are some good ways to break into the conversation on healthcare.
yeah. Most people are empathetic. Like they can understand. Like if you're empathetic to them, because what he did tell me, he was like he had this Antifa roommate who was always screaming at him. I was like, oh. I was like, oh, I can kind of understand why he had a certain opinion of a certain type of leftist, but I don't begrudge those leftists either. Like whatever, do what you do. But my opinion, killing with kindness, that's my approach.
Yeah, I mean maybe that's why you do like my channel because until I lose my temper, I try to go the kill them with kindness route. Um,
Yeah, people are just being just assholes for assholes' sake.
I have to respond to this. It's an important message. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, no, sure, it's just chill.
Um, yeah, it's yeah, there's all different types of tactics for all different types of conversations and all different type of scenarios. But I do agree with you that you know, you the so Tree of Logic is a YouTuber, and
Hmm.
do you know her?
I've heard, yeah.
Yeah, so she came into my channel one time. I was like covering the conflict in Syria. She asked me a question and I was like, "Well, it's going to take me about like 45 minutes to answer this question." And
Hmm.
it did. She ended up so she sat in the channel for 4 hours. Said like, "Wow, that was like actually really informative." Reached out to me and wanted to know what were some Bernie Sanders policies that she might write off just because of kind of like whatever reason, but that she shouldn't immediately write off. And she started coming into my channel more often. I was doing like a lot of like research about climate change and so forth. She came on, we talked about Bernie's policies, and she said, "You actually made me believe in climate change. You're one of the first people
Wow.
that ever changed, one of my beliefs." And she said that the way that you do it was when you have like a boulder in a river, over time the water will flow, over the boulder and it'll make it into a smooth stone. And she kind of said that
Hmm.
like your approach of like not screaming, which I do, I lose my patience at times, but your approach of going that route actually helped de-radicalize me on just thinking climate was just these people screaming all the time, but like you went through so many different facts and so forth that it worked out. Hello, Orb Lady. Thank you for the raid. I am on a call with extremely bad faith, who is not bad faith.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a meme. It's a meme.
do you want to get your YouTube link while we're talking?
Yeah. Let me type in the chat. YouTube.com/one love, one being.
The traditional economic models
Thank you,
are
Orb
not
Lady.
good
I
at
hope that you had a good stream. I'm sorry that you became a fatality in Freems's Newslock challenge. That's a shame that it happened. And yeah, we're just kind of like going back and forth about like how can the United States left focus not only on domestic issues but show international solidarity. I think is kind of like the crux of the conversation that we're having, going back and forth.
Yeah, and we'll get there.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's not going to happen tonight, and it's not going to happen tomorrow. We're just going to have to we're going to have to keep trying to organize around it and work for it, and keep trying to persevere, I would say.
Yeah, that's all. That's all. That's all leftism. That's all leftism is.
Very true. Yeah, very true. Um,
But
Go ahead.
just both. Yeah, Boulder Fifth Column had on the other day. He was like, "If you're ever satisfied as a leftist, you fucking failed."
Yeah, true.
There's something else. Trust me.
Yeah, very true.
So I was like, yeah, he's right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I tried to give my opinion about Russia, to revert to where we were about like my thoughts on like how to view China, or what to think about China, what to think about the One Belt or One Road. I mostly say that Chinese foreign policy has done more for the nations that they are engaging with than nearly any policy the United States has ever done in a vastly more amount of countries than the United States has ever done. While I do have certain concerns about China, specifically about surveillance and data monitoring, it appears that they are at least helping nations develop infrastructure. And they are doing this better than the IMF was ever capable of doing, better than the World Bank was ever capable of doing. They've done it without firing a bullet. They've done it without flying a drone. They've done it without cooing governments. They've done it through diplomacy, through cooperation, and through working together. Whereas IMF, World Bank, and United States foreign policy, in any way that you'd like to measure it, has been much more based on extraction via
Definitely.
labor extraction, mineral extraction, resource extraction, or government overthrow.
So you would say, generally speaking, the United States, a leftist in the United States should worry more about what the United States is doing in terms of imperialism versus China and their, uh, free expansion, free trade, whatever type of thing they're doing.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
Um, okay. Somebody came in asking questions. Can you name one good Biden policy? Rejoining the JCPOA, rejoining the Paris Climate Accords, wiping out student loan debt, which is going to give the consumer more ability to purchase the goods and services that the capitalists would want us to buy, instituting a $15 minimum wage, repealing Trump's rules on asylum and actually allowing asylum seekers, trying to legalize all the people within DACA, closing down Alaska to logging and mining, closing down Minnesota copper mines, trying to undo the damage that Trump did to the EPA, actually refunding the CDC, actually having a functioning coronavirus task force, actually discussing using masks. There's a multitude of them.
Taxing capital gains as income over $1 million.
So,
Free
um,
college.
no, I meant the CDC. Trump did a $200 million cut to the CDC in 2019 and fired a bunch of different people. And actually mostly throughout the playbook that they had. Trump cuts 200 million in CDC funding. It was from 2019.
Yeah, Biden is better objectively in almost every single way. It's not
There was
close.
a 12% cut for health and human services, which included a $750 million decrease to the CDC. Oh, wait, I was wrong. It was actually $750 million. All right. Whatever your name is, Tiljan, I've answered your questions. You can, yeah, you can take a timeout. If you want to stay, you can stay and listen. But I've literally answered the questions for you, and I can continue answering them for you. But fucking a, damn, you're not gonna accept any of what I offer if those are gonna be your methods. Hello, Can't Stop the Kittens. How are you doing? And as well as most leftists know that none of us like Biden. It's just a different person to protest.
Yeah, I mean, and objectively, it will be better for people who are alive.
We can hope. We can hope.
I mean,
Hello, Evie, and cancel
Medicaid
the Kins. Go ahead.
extension, things like that.
Well,
This
my
is
my concern, however, is going to be that the Senate is going to be obstructionist to most of his policies, and it's going to lead to austerity that'll be blamed on the Dems and the Biden administration. Nothing
if
much
we
will
don't
get done.
if we don't get the Senate, let's be hopeful
True. Yeah,
first.
true.
We don't know, but secondly, I've been, they have the revolving door project and all this shit that they're saying he could do by executive order,
True.
canceling student loan debt and whatnot. So I think we'll be all right. We'll see what happens. We have to take step by step. You know, take the Senate. If we don't, then we have more problems. But if we do, and plus we have the left. We actually have actual fucking left in Congress that's saying shit. They're not just fucking nothing. Like they're pushing back against. They're going to push back against austerity. Like,
I hope
it's
so.
going to happen.
I
I mean,
um.
they already pushed back on the blame. They were blaming defund the police and Medicare for all. They were like, no, get the fuck out of here. Fuck you.
Yep.
I was like, hell yeah. And now we have like five more of them in there, you know. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But at least we have the voices, and they're popular voices that can get on CNN and push back on that austerity bullshit
I
versus
agree.
2008.
I just got put on the Philadelphia DSA policy committee, and my task is I need to come up with. Let me see if I can find this. Oh shit! Did somebody donate cryptocurrency to me? Oh no,
Right?
never mind. I thought somebody did. What? Almost.
Almost wishful thinking. It's coming. That's how you know it's coming.
Okay, so I am on a tax the rich policy committee recommendation. So I have to come up with, and I'm actually going to be doing this with my Twitch community. So I'm going to be getting in contact with one of the other people that I'm going to be working with, and we're supposed to be compiling information about the Philadelphia city budget, including incoming revenue and historical budget allocations, as well as estimated revenue from major nonprofits, real estate holders, and other entities that avoid significant taxation. And we're supposed to come up with a policy for the Philly DSA to organize around in order to agitate people for why we need to end the tax abatements, why we need to go towards a wealth tax, why we have to tax commercial real estates higher, why we need to not cut public transportation, why we need to
Actually,
shift funds and so forth. Go ahead.
yeah, um, you, yeah, you finished first.
No, I was done. It's not important.
Yeah, no, in Arizona, they just passed. You heard about the 3.5 income tax hike on the people earning over 250K. Did you hear about that ballot measure that passed?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so that might be something you want to look into. Like people voted like for higher taxes on rich people to fund schools to fund. I think it was Arizona. Like if you look up like I think it was Arizona. Like they passed a ballot measure. It was like a 3.5
Nice.
percent extra tax. Yeah, so that may be helpful in your research. That's something that just passed.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely add that in. I have until January in order to get like everything together. They just invited me onto the committee, and I was like, hey, like, I stream in front of a crowd of people that are wonks who will be very willing to help pull all this research together, and they gave me permission to like work on it with my community. So there'll be probably like 2 or 3 streams over the next month of uh,
Yeah,
of trying to use everybody as a resource.
you have to love the wonks. The wonks will save us.
I mean, hey, they're helpful. It's
they, the ones who dig deep into like this is like because we need the arguments and the data
Yeah,
to convince.
this is a very interesting miscommunication that I think is about to happen. Maxwell Corrigan asked, "Who is he speaking with?" And somebody said, "Bad faith." Yeah. So actually, I've got a question for you here. Then,
Yeah,
um, so you say that you
you can
killed
just call
him,
me Theo, by the way.
right? Well, you say that you killed him with kindness.
Yeah,
And have you considered that extremely bad faith is not the best moniker to like lead into kindness conversations?
it's such a twitch. It's like a reminder because sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just get fucking angry and pissed, and just so the name is like kind of a reminder. No, you need to be extremely good faith in
Mm.
this conversation to, and in order for them to really feel that I'm hearing them. So that's where
I remember when
like
I
if it,
first saw your name, I was like, "Oh fuck, this guy."
this is gonna be an asshole. This is gonna be a fucking asshole.
No,
Yeah,
that
no,
was my thought though.
yeah,
I very much I overemphasize first impressions with people.
yeah. No, I wanted to like I need like a cool edgy Twitch name. Like you see my YouTube name is like One Love One Being. It's like
Hmm.
the most fucking cheesy, like universal love type of thing. So I needed like Twitch seems like a more edgier place. So let me just create that one.
If I could change one thing, well, okay, I would change a lot of things. But if I could change a few, one of them would be to make Twitch a little bit less edgy. Um,
Yeah,
I don't exactly
yeah.
fit on the platform per se.
You do though. You because who like you like IRI, yeah, David Packman when he's on, like you guys are not even Hassan, he's not like edgy, he's like just like a funny guy.
Okay.
Um I mean no, like me, he's informative, like I love Hassan. I'm like, what's
Hmm.
up? Um it was like I don't want to throw shade at Destiny, but he was like, abrasive, like, debate, Lord, yeah, like kill him. It's like, which is fine. Actually, I that's how I first learned how to debate,
Right.
or learned some debate tactics from Destiny. So it was helpful. But I think you can't do that all the time.
I agree.
You need like different people need to do different things. Bosch, Destiny, everybody, Hassan, we all be yourself and you'll be fine.
What's up, Trash Can? Can't Stop the Kittens, Maxwell Cork. Man, there's a lot of long term friends in the channel here. Kobe, Orb Lady, Catherine Dominates if you're out there. Carpe, damn Carpe, thank you for being a long time mod. Can't Stop the Kittens, long time mod. Buenabuen, long time mod. Yeah, I appreciate you all. Oh no, it's So Caring B said it's okay to be different. Um, how do I say why I wish Twitch was a little different? Um, I I get jealous at all the memers and the dreamers and the edgy people, and it weighs on me. Like it makes I
No.
want to. Well, no, it's not weighing on me in the sense of like I get irritated by it. I want to join in it. I see the fun in it, and I see like all that kind of stuff, and I do constantly like you said your name is to remind you to be in good faith. For me, I remind myself, don't devolve, don't not devolve. That's not the right word. Don't change. I guess would be the way that I'm trying to put it. Um,
Yeah, you have a more of a slow like David Packman. He does like no fucking extra edgy bullshit.
right.
And the majority part. It's like some of it, but it's like mostly like the news. Here's what's happening, and he's at 1 million subs on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can do it your way.
Yeah.
He's proof of it.
I need to
So
start
it's
trying to
like
call into the majority report again. I got frustrated. I called in for like 16 straight days at one point, and I didn't get through. And I was just like, damn, I am taking too much time out of
yeah.
the middle of my day. Um,
Y- Yeah, you gotta like kind of just put it on speaker and just like leave it to the
oh, that's
side.
what I was doing, but it was
Oh
still like,
yeah,
yeah,
still yeah.
it's still just annoying because like you're having to like be near the phone and so forth. Hello, Nusha, another long-term supporter.
Yeah. I mean, but just in general, like in terms of like you can become successful doing it your way.
Oh, I think I have been.
People,
I
there are
already think that I
people.
have been.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you know, do you mean do you want to get into it because you like it and you want to like sometimes get feisty with people,
Oh
or
yeah,
just
yeah. I mean, I'm yeah,
go
yeah.
get
It's fun.
feisty? What the fuck?
Yeah, I
Like, who
mean,
cares?
yeah, I do.
Nobody's gonna care if you fucking get into a debate once in a while and just fucking crush somebody and just like go back to your regular stream.
No, it's not that. I don't even know what I was trying to explain. It's not the most important. Um, I'm happy that there are a multitude of different communities for a multitude of different styles. It is one of the great things that makes the platform very diverse. You know,
Yeah.
if you want to like, so right now, Radical links to a whenever this whole thing ends, if they're if they're still streaming, they're reading Against the Dark Web, by Michael Brooks. You know, there are
Mm.
people that do Silver does a book club pretty frequently. Kay Swiftly does a book club pretty frequently. Orb Lady has been reading Strike on Sunday nights. I saw somebody was doing like a big paper about like why the Electoral College should be abandoned. Riley Grace Rochong, will do a lot of like deep research streams and then try to write up,
Mm.
like a bill or so forth. So,
Yeah.
I really like that there are a lot of these different communities that are beginning to carve out like a niche for themselves to be able to do that different type of work.
Only you could be you, and the way to be you is to be interested in things that you're interested in,
Mm.
and that's what all those people are doing.
Yeah,
And not,
yep. And then you
I
have
mean,
Can't Stop the
some people.
Kittens with the political anti-anxiety kitty stream. Um,
Right. That's beautiful, actually.
yeah, it's no, I've learned, man. I have fucking changed. There is no way that I would recognize myself if I went back 2 years ago, before I
You were a
started
debate
streaming.
edge lord.
No, 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 no. But just like the amount of like information that I've gone through, like the connections that I've built, like not even many of my positions have changed. I did go maybe like slightly further to the left, but like, okay, ask anybody who's been in my community for a long time. I used during the beginning, after Bernie lost, and during the COVID stuff, I raged. Like I was, because I was just predicting economic doom for so many people, and there was nothing that could be done about it. And like I
uh,
have finally begun to rein in my temper and rein
you're
in
doing
my
your
short
thing.
fuse.
Yeah.
My mother used to get mad at me all the time, saying like you need to like deal with like your anger. And what I finally have learned to explain to people is, you can't. Well, okay, you can be angry if you don't have love. But a lot of times, anger comes from deep love about something that you know is an issue, but that you can't really like affect. And that was where a lot of it came from before. It was just like, running on rage, and you can't run on rage forever.
That's funny because my anger comes from not having the proper arguments, even though what I know the other person's saying is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
So the more educated I become on the subject, the less angry I get about it. Like this whole thing with defund the police recently, and you had these white liberals are like, your slogan is too, bro. I was just like losing my shit, like, and but because the arguments are bad, and I feel like I have to be pushed back against so bad. But then I could have been nicer, but sometimes you just have to be mean. Like I don't know, maybe it was the wrong approach, but it was just so much of that Jim Clyburn spam burger bullshit. Like it had to be pushed back against. And I think we did a successful job of pushing back against that type of narrative because you don't, it kind of died down.
Yeah.
So
Oh man, Clyburn did damage last year.
this
this
year,
this year.
every year,
Yeah. This year.
all the time,
Yeah.
he's still like he's like, don't, oh my god, don't talk to me about John
Yeah.
Clyburn. It's just like I'm Hakeem Jeffries, like all these people are like just need to go. I mean, they will go because what do they're not right. That's one thing I said on Twitter the other day. I was like, leftists are right, and we need to start acting like it
Mm-hmm.
and never back down from these fucking neoliberal pharma bros. Like, fuck them. They're
We
not right. We're
are
right.
we are joined by extremely bad faith. I should have put your name up somewhere or like changed the stream title or something. That's on me for not doing that. Um,
Yeah, it was impromptu.
but we'll
So,
shout out your YouTube channel a couple more times, as we're
yeah.
going. It's been peaceful to watch this drone aerial flyover.
Yeah, that's one thing I loved about your thing. You put like the China background that day. I was like, wow, this is fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, when I was listening to the critical analysis of the One Belt One Road.
Yeah,
Oh wow, you
and it
can
was
change the title. Wow, okay, damn, that's exciting. I didn't know you could do that. Hell yeah, sweet. Um, shit, there was something else that I wanted to say. I don't remember what it was.
yeah, that actually helped me with my xenophobia. That's another thing that I think it was. It's like you don't know what you don't know.
Mm.
Like just seeing the images of China were like I actually lived with a Chinese family for a little bit, which is was kind of a funny story, but and that kind of helped me too. But just like because if I'm like a live and I'm just watching CNN, I'm terrified of China, like in Russia, like they're coming to kill me. Like it's like I think these people or whatever. But when you're more familiar, you just feel like these are just people. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like I was living with this family and they were like just like celebrating Christmas and shit and doing regular shit. I'm like, and like the father didn't even speak English. I don't think anybody spoke English. Only the son spoke English, and we were still all cool. It was all good. We spoke through Google Translate. It was like fine, but a lot of people don't have that experience. So,
Yeah, I guess for me, I was so fortunate from age like 23 to 27 to travel that it
mm,
like when I was in my teens, I was very much into environmentalism, like trying to shout from the rooftops about like climate change and so forth. And that was why I fought with my family. I mean, just like absolutely fought that like you don't care, like you're not trying to do anything against this, like it's going to be my generation. And the thing that I heard so much in my teens was like, well, wait until you get older, wait until like you have experiences, and then you're going to be able to kind of like talk about this or so forth. And I was just like,
hmm.
you dumb fucks, like you have no idea what you're talking about. I do know what I'm talking about. And they
Oh yeah.
and it just bothered me so much. They would tell me all the time. I was one of those like quote unquote smart kids. Like I had good test scores. I dual
Hmm.
enrolled in college my senior year of high school. I finished almost all the AP courses in my high school. So I would always have these adults tell me, "You're so smart, you're so smart, you're so smart." But then when I would ever talk to them about anything, they would say, "Well, you're too young to know about that." And then, I went to college and I like did my studying and so forth, and it was still the same thing. And then I hit like age 21 or 22, and I was just like, "Fuck all of this. Fuck all of you older people. Fuck everybody. I'm done. I don't care." I I kind of like I became a caregiver for an elderly gentleman. I lived with him for about 2.5 straight years. It was the most
Mm.
trying thing of my life. He had alcoholism, mental disabilities, physical disabilities, all kinds. It was just an absolute mess.
Yeah.
During that time, so he was a journalist in his earlier life. Then he became a professor. But he started to get me somewhat involved or interested in journalism. I started reading Piketty. I started reading some other econ books. Then I got to travel a little bit. And so I think between 23 and 27, I went to about 18 different countries. And
Wow.
from doing that and then getting into Michael Brooks' work and then refinding my climate activism and then finding a place for my spot on the left, it really helped me develop the the reason that I care about like international politics. So
Yeah. Everybody's life kind of puts them in a position to where they can be successful. I don't want to get too spiritual. I don't know if you're that kind of person, but
I have not found any of the major gods to fulfill my life for
no,
me.
no, not
So
even like in terms of just like you see my username, one love, one being. Like it's
right.
supposed to work together in terms like maybe it's just the way it works, like the way nature, CO2 and trees and shit like that, and human beings, and like the way I was brought up led me to where I am now. Amongst many religions, like my mom was a Baptist, my dad was a Jehovah's Witness, my cousins were Hebrew Israelites, my 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 other family members were like this other religion. Like I had like 20 different religions, so I was able to. I was atheist at one point, and then I found like New Age spirituality. So
Yep.
I just have a whole bunch of like respect and understanding of different people and whatnot.
I think
And
on
like,
that front, I went from I was confirmed Catholic. Then
right, yeah,
I took a philosophy course at when I was 17, and somebody will people have heard the story before, but and somebody will know the exact paradox that I'm talking about. There's the one where if you believe in God and God does not exist, you lose nothing. If you believe in God and God does exist, you win everything. If you don't believe in God and God doesn't exist, you win nothing. If you don't believe in God and God does not exist, you lose everything. And when I heard that, it made me wonder why I still believed in the Christian God. And I
hmm
realized the only reason that I believed was because I didn't want to go to hell and I wanted to go to heaven. And I was like, well, this is no reason to practice a faith if you're only doing it for your own self saviorship. So then I went atheist, and then I became agnostic, and then I went to Israel to see if I could find God there, and then I was like, fuck this. There's no way I'm gonna get down with one of the mainstream gods. And
right,
then now I would consider myself spiritual, karmic, and
yeah,
yeah. So
no,
it was a
no,
journey.
no. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just like, hey, it's like one religion. Like I grew up, like, I'm like, which one is right? Like none of them could be right. So
Yeah.
I just feel like I was like, and I was able to see like all the similarities within all of them. And like new age spirituality kind of ties it all in, and you could interpret it in different ways, and that's how you're able to have conversations with different people about and use like their text or what have you to, or just not become aggro, towards those kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like like the whole atheist movement was like super aggro. I was one of those like edgy atheists, like aggro
We all
Bill
were.
Maher dipshits.
Yeah.
It's like shut the fuck up, dude. It's just like
Can I ask you how old you are?
34.
Okay. Yeah, so we're pretty similar in
Yeah,
age.
yeah. Been around the block a couple times.
I'm 31, so
Yeah,
I'm catching.
yeah,
Well, I'll never
yeah.
catch it, but
Once you get past 30, it's like oh, so same. No,
I loved turning 30. It was incredible. I
I
was so ready to leave my 20s behind. I really was.
right,
I know that you can't like put too much in like your number changing and anything, but like for me,
yeah.
it was kind of like the closing. I was ready for it to be done. I was ready to move into a new chapter of my life. I was ready to be in a quote unquote different category of age. I was ready to have that first number be a different number. Um, so yeah, for
I,
me it was really magnificent.
I mean, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Just don't feel that you have to be something by a certain age. I'll tell you that much.
No, I'm feeling good where I'm at. I'm 31. Um, I like doing this kind of stuff. I want to figure out how to start writing. I'm not sure what I want to write about, but I do want to kind of like start to figure that out. Um, but yeah, 31 is young. I still have a lot of life
50
ahead.
is 50 is young, man. It's 60 is young. Bernie Sanders is fucking 78. He's fucking
Yeah,
changing the world.
yeah,
So I mean, Joe Biden is 78. He's kind of changing the world. I mean, in terms of, at least he's in his own way.
Well, hey, he ran out
So
faster on that stage than I could run out on that stage.
yeah, I mean, he wants to restore. I know it's kind of cheesy the Joe Biden thing, but restore the stolen nation. But that shit is actually fucking true, bro. Like, not to get all super lit, but it's this past 4 years are so fucking intense. Every day a scandal. It's like people say go back to brunch. Like I just want to like go to sleep. Fuck brunch. Like
Yeah,
without Iran. Like remember the new like January 1st. It was like oh shit, we're about to go to war with Iran. It was like what the
I was
fuck?
in Washington D.C. when we killed Soleimani, getting
Mm,
ready to go out to Iowa for Bernie, and I interviewed people outside of the White House the night of the Soleimani strike, actually. So yeah, I
oh,
vividly remember
shit.
that one. Yeah,
I,
I was sitting at a table with Geek with Glasses and with B McMoo at the Hosteling International. I mean, I can easily visualize the table that I was sitting at,
right.
and we were just like, oh shit, like we need to go out into the streets, to kind of like see what's going on. Um, Yeah, and so
And
I want to touch on what you said about the, taking a nap versus going back to brunch versus like so forth. Because I think that you hit on something that's difficult to thread. And I want to make sure that people understood the way that you meant it because I think that I do. And I just want to like redevelop it. Um,
mhm,
that the the constant narrative of having to debunk a Trump lie or a
yeah,
policy change or protect this part of the environment or fight for trans rights or protect asylum seekers or deal with like all the comments about Muslims or shithole
mhm.
countries or so forth that
There's
the
more
left
fights.
that the left needed. Like I took this week off to not really talk about any domestic stuff because
Hmm.
that was just my week, to take off. Like
Yeah,
I'm in the mindset of I'm building my energy to begin to like protest against Biden.
to fight.
But you're correct that like there was just a day of breath that was needed to be taken. Now some people can take a day, some are going to take 3, some are going to take a week. I don't really encourage anybody to take more than like a month if you have the spoons to, because there is like a ton of work that needs to be done. But yeah, there
Hmm.
was like a just a moment of okay, it's still bad, but like maybe it's like a 7 out of 10 instead of like a 9.7 out of 10.
Jim Clyburn didn't let me take a day off because the next day they were blaming leftists, so I had to like jump back into the fight. It
Yeah.
was like I was like, yeah, Biden, finally Trump, fuck him, oh God, yeah. And then the next day, socialism lost us the Senate. I was like, oh my fucking God. So I had to like, I'm actually glad for him because I wasn't gonna take any really time off or like the left could now we can't fall asleep because the enemy made himself known
Mm-hmm.
immediately.
Yep.
It didn't even wait to fucking after the inauguration. It was like this bullshit, accusations about how defund the police lost the Senate. It's like shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Somebody asked, do you think if Bernie were 58, he would have fought harder against being in the primary? Um,
if Bernie was what?
he wasn't 58. But I guess yeah, he would have. I There were a few things that I wish he
No.
would have done differently, and but he didn't, and that it's done, I guess.
Yeah, Bernie, the chapter is closed. There was some good critiques of Bernie in terms of his black outreach strategy. If you watch, there's this podcast called Clickbaity Police by Benjamin Dixon on his show at 8 a.m. every morning.
Mm.
It's like black activists and black organizers. And one funny story they tell was like in 2016, the Black National Outreach Organizer he went to Bernie Sanders and uh and Jeff Weaver, and they were going to run this like bullshit white bread uh commercial in South Carolina, like America, America, I love America, like some bullshit like that. And then the black outreach director was like, "Don't run this fucking ad. What the fuck, you? Then this is not going to bring anybody who's like me out."
Mm-hmm.
And what the black outreach director wanted to do, he wanted to have some Marvin Gaye playing and have the pictures of Bernie and the civil rights protest, like, and like that's a good fucking ad.
Yep.
And they ran the bullshit ad, but the only thing they did, the same ad they ran in Iowa, all they did was put one more blackface in South Carolina.
Bernie lived in Vermont for too long.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even that. It was the way it's like even Chuck
Rocha.
deconstructed with Ryan Grimm. Chuck Rocha, he said the same thing. It's a white consultant class who doesn't give a fuck if they win or lose. They will make money off these TV ads.
Yeah.
And I say this to everybody listen to this in the morning. Ben Dixon every morning at 8 a.m. on YouTube. You learn I learned so much about like organizing shit like that. Every time this guy said he goes into like a national political campaign, he said we're gonna put 75% of the money, and they were like looking at him like he was fucking crazy, because normally what these white consultants do is they want to put most of the money into TV ads where they get a 50% cut.
Mm.
So that was like the huge problem in South Carolina in 2016. The white consultants got more money than the whole black outreach campaign did in 2016.
Wow.
So, and you would never know this because a lot of people don't like to talk about this kind of thing because we think it's benevolent and can't make no mistakes. And it wasn't even Bernie. It's just the people like it's this white consultant class that they're just business people,
Yeah,
and
I
the way
think that
they do advertise.
there were
Yeah,
some people that I was around that I was not fond of being around them when I was in some different places for Bernie this time.
right.
Um, yeah, yeah, but hey, um,
No, but no, what's done is done. But go ahead.
and
Yeah.
it did help to awaken some people. You
Oh,
know,
a lot, a
every
lot.
more person that wakes up is one more person that can join the
I
fight
just don't
and
want
learn.
us to make the same mistakes again.
I agree. I
And
agree.
because if you have people saying Bernie did everything he could do in South Carolina, and the black activists like what's going on in Georgia right now, finally, it's some of it is coming. Like it's the people on the ground who are doing the work. It's not these fucking consultant people who are doing ad buys
Do you
or whatever.
the only real good dream that I have these days is that Nina Turner might run in 2024.
I I love Nina Turner. I just don't know. I mean, we let Donald Trump become president, but in terms of like, she's only been a state senator.
So I'll let me say my thoughts here. I don't
Yeah,
necessarily think that she would win, but I think that it would be important to have her voice a part of the debate.
I think there should be a primary in 2020. We don't know what's going to happen,
Very true.
but
Very true.
let's say for some, let's say Joe Biden is FDR. Let's say some type of Green New Deal, some crazy shit happens. The left push. Let's say it happens because apparently FDR he came into balance the budget. Like he wasn't like the worker guy at first. Like he kind of got forced into it. So who knows? But
True.
if he's not that, hopefully he is because I want the easiest path. I don't want extra fights. A lot of leftists want to fight extra. Like I don't want to have to fight faster. No, 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 no. I want smooth, like upward trajectory of goodness. Let's say he does all the good things. We get good unions, and it's all great. It makes it better as socialists to organize, in my opinion. But if not, like personally, Kamala Harris to me, she's not that strong of a candidate. I could just tell you right up top. You know, some people say because she's black, and that trust me, trust. She's not Barack Obama. She's okay. I see her getting better over the campaign. She had a good answer on defunding the police, which can be
You're
primary.
being much more charitable to Kamala than I would be. I'll just leave it
No,
there.
no, no, no. I mean, in terms of the representational aspect of it and how it would look and who would
Yeah.
have to, and something leftists have to think about when they decry identity politics instead of just taking it and just
I
take.
watched one too many conversations between Kamala and Rachel Maddow, and you know, like I was saying to you, with me all being about like the eye test and the impression that a person makes.
She's a
Man,
retail politician.
it
She's a
just
retail.
she really
She
rubs me the wrong way.
go YouTube her answer on defund the police on the View,
Okay.
and she
Oh, I
that kind of
remember.
showed
I
me
do
like,
remember that one. I actually
yeah,
remember that
yeah,
one. Yeah, where because she
right.
said it's actually more about. She didn't use the word divest, but she's like
If she used
it's more about like
reallocation,
yeah, it's more about like investing in our social services, investing in our mental health programs, investing in our communities, not investing in bullets, you know, and so forth.
she didn't give she didn't run away from it, and she actually challenged Megan McCain because she was like, so what does defund the police mean to you? That's what she asked Megan McCain. It was like a that just gave me some kind of like, okay, she's not like a she could be when the movement is the movement, she's not gonna fucking like just push back on it and shit
I
on it
think that she well, man,
because
I don't mean
she could
to talk so
she could
badly
have it
about you, Madam Vice President elect, but I'm gonna say it this way. I think she's like a sailboat. Whichever the way the wind
yeah,
blows is where her comments are going to come from and go.
which is great for us if we're doing our job as
Fair,
leftists, which
fair.
is great for us, as opposed to Nancy Pelosi where she doesn't give a fuck. It
Oh
seems so.
God, no! But
Where she's
I don't
like,
understand Pelosi. What the fuck? Why? Okay, wait a minute though. So we're praising Kamala on one hand, right? Wasn't she the co-author on that bill with Dianne Feinstein to congratulate the
I,
Dodgers and the
I,
Lakers?
I, the lip shit. I don't see. I don't get mad at lip shit anymore. I just scrolled right past it. I was gonna say something. I was like, you know what? but Kamala, she did sponsor the $2,000 a month plan with Bernie and Rashid Tlaib over the summer. So, like you said, wherever the wind is blowing, and she like that little lip shit is like whatever. Like, okay, whatever. Like they're
Jord,
gonna do lip
yeah,
shit.
Jord Greer. I see that you're asking my Jord. We're gonna make like an agreement like back and forth between you and I. I won't ban you in my channel if I don't have to read many of your comments. If you just sit and listen and absorb and hear how we talk about defunding the police is about reinvesting in communities, about having social care workers, about having mental health experts, about having rehabilitation facilities, about having clean needle exchanges, about having better public transportation, about having access to food, about taking away the militarization of the gear, of taking away the unionization of the police officers, of taking away qualified immunity and so forth, then you're going to begin to understand it. But if you kind of continue to ask questions that do appear to be, and I don't even think that you intend to be trolling, I do think that you're a person who is just on your path and learning, but they are going to come off as just, they're not going to come off the best. Um,
Right. Yeah. I mean, we don't. I mean. Oh my gosh, how many times have to be explained?
yeah, and I think I did an okay job of explaining it there.
No, I mean, no. It's just the same as reallocation of police. It's basically the lip take is a reallocation. It's make every neighborhood look like the suburbs,
Yeah.
well resourced, less police.
Yep.
Or however people want to sell it. So people sell it in different ways. Some people, we can have it in terms of an abolitionist framework. I'm an abolitionist, and but defund comes. It's just like social democracy comes before socialism. Defund comes before abolition. Like, that's just the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm advocate of defund the police, obviously. So yeah,
Well
in terms of
resourced, less policed. Yeah, that's good. That is very good.
yeah, like you go into a. I mean, I lived in upper middle class neighborhoods. Like you never see the police. Like you just where are they? They're nowhere to be found because you don't need them.
I'm gonna give the opposite one to you. I live in a lower class neighborhood, and you never see the police.
All right. Wow. I guess see, I live where I grew up. I grew up in like I don't know if I grew somebody might know what it is. Rockaway, New York. It's
Okay.
like half suburbs. There's like a Jewish area. There's like a main street. There's like the hood projects here. It's like all mixed up. But then like recently, it just became occupied. Like it was just police officers on every fucking street corner. It was like this shit is fucking insane. So that's all. That image is burned in my brain when I think of defunding police. I'm like, get these motherfuckers. I mean, I don't know if you know, I'm a black guy. I'm like, when I walk around, I feel stressed. Whenever I see a police officer, this is like, well, get them away from me.
Yeah.
I don't want the chance interaction. So we're gonna take take unburden them, as Sam Cedar would say, of their extra services and allow
Oh,
other people
exactly,
to
exactly.
do it.
There are so many different things that they are supposed to do at the moment. Yeah, that's actually a really good. That's a real. I can tell that you watched the Majority Report. I remember the day that Sam said that. Actually, you can frame it as you're making their job easier. You're actually taking some of their duties away and shifting it into other people that are actually trained to deal with mental health disturbances, to deal with drug addiction, to deal with alcohol abuse, and so forth. Um,
Even Alex Vitale had a good. Not that sure, but Alex Vitale. You heard of him? The end of
yeah, he
policing.
wrote. Is it defund the? No, what's his book
No,
called? I
the
can't
end of
remember.
policing.
End of policing. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like when he goes to talk to police officers, he was like, for the same pay, would you rather be a high school gym teacher or would you rather be a police officer?
Yep.
And obviously, all of them laugh and say, I'd rather be a high school gym teacher. So even the police know there's some genuine people who want to help, but you know,
Yep.
it's such a good policy that if we just get behind it, like it's just simple
Right.
and it's
Yeah.
local. So it's like it gets you involved locally because the city budgets are local budgets.
Yeah, that's actually the Philly police are asking for an $18 million budget increase, and that's one part of the thing that I'm going to be putting in our program is talking about why do we need that when we're cutting transportation? Why do we need that when we're cutting community college funding? Why do we need that when we're cutting public education funds? Why do we need that when we're closing down grocery stores and so forth? So
Yeah. What? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
So one thing that I think we need in this argument is better data. Like Bosch, like he's a sociologist. Like, and
Okay,
it's one.
Jord,
I watch.
Jord, I asked you nicely. Uh, Come on, you go, man. I don't, and I don't want to silence people if they're actually like trying to listen. I really just don't. Sorry, I'm gonna let you like go back in real quick.
Yeah,
Jord, there's a lot of like there. Never mind. Go ahead. You were talking about Vosh.
yeah. No, in terms of like, I mean, I learned a lot from him too. I just watch everybody because you get different perspectives. And he was saying like for every $1 you put into like preventative care, you save $7 in terms of on the back end in terms of
Yep.
jailing, policing, blah blah blah. So when we're making
Well,
these defund arguments,
that's just like with homelessness. There have been so many
right? Yeah,
different studies that have shown that if you just give homeless people housing, you're going to save money from the shelters. Like,
and emergency care
yeah,
and,
exactly,
and
exactly.
policing and all that other
It's the
shit.
same
Yeah,
thing with giving people health care. If everybody has health care, you're not going to have as many people going to emergency care facilities. Yeah, yeah,
but we need the numbers though. We need to have the numbers and the data when we're
yeah.
making these arguments to our city council and our
You're
mayors and
right.
shit like that. So, because for two reasons, we make the arguments with the data, and if they don't do it, now we can run against them with that same data and then unseat them and then do
Mm-hmm.
it ourselves. So that's why it's important to have the data. Uh, general know that it works. We need to have the specifics on this is actually how it's going to work, more or less. Not perfection, but I believe that will help our case.
Yep. Do you have anything else that you may want to mention or ask
No,
or comment on or
uh, no, just love your channel. Uh, everybody can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/ one love one being, all one word, all letters. I'll put it in the chat afterwards, and I hope we can have more conversations about if you would like about like international planning uh, and solidarity and how we continue to build that.
yeah, if you have any ideas about it,
Is,
I'm
is
easy
there
to find.
international like DSA? I mean, obviously not DSA, but like international UNDSA or whatever.
Maybe the closest. Well, there's probably some that I don't know about, but one of the only ones that I can really think of at the moment is the Progressive International that
Like Giannis
Varoufakis has
Varoufakis?
kind of started. Yeah, that
Yeah, does he
somewhat.
have?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, that somewhat kind of tries to deal with like international, but it's still very
Is that
U.S.
dues?
EU focused. Does it have dues?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think
because
so.
these our organization, the organization needs to be dues. I was watching like, oh, I forgot his name. His name is Israma. He has a funny name, Irami.
Okay.
Yeah, this black guy he goes on the Hill once in a while. Um, and he was saying our organizations obviously need to be dues funding, dues paying organizations like the DSA, so where we could actually do shit.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's basically it. To have because we can't just have we have the name, it's something, but
Mm-hmm.
in order to build like power and actively like hold conferences and do shit like that and go overseas and maybe do mutual aid, like whatever, anything that whatever our imaginations could take us can take us. International organizations now to be a dues paying organization.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking some of your time out of your Friday night to come hang out and talk.
Yeah, for sure, man. I just appreciate you on Twitch and what you're doing.
Yeah, maybe. Thank you. I appreciate. Yeah, that's nice of you.
I
Um,
mean, you're like, who else is doing international process on Twitch?
there are. I don't know. Maybe the chat can help me think of other people that do. I keep saying Silver does. Resistance
Right,
Noir
right,
does
right.
a little bit. Kamazats.
Yeah, but
Radical Links.
I just
So,
say you just keep being you,
well, thank you. Yeah, I
and
appreciate
you're
that.
awesome,
Thank you.
and we're gonna fucking keep supporting you.
All right, I will. I'll chat with you sometime soon.
I appreciate it. How's it going, man? Good night.